Hey, you thieving bastards! Alright, this is part 2. If you were interested in my story, where I left off was Caymanese. We started breeding Caymanese. I was going for snow leopards, and I ended up with this Caymanese, which go Google that shit. It's a Taiwanese word, spelled K-H-A-O, separate word M-A-N-E-E. It means jewel-eyed or odd-eyed cat. And they're all white, pretty big size, lean, 2 different color eyes. One sky blue, one bright, like forest, not forest, but like almost like a mint green, like a bright green. Very distinctive, odd-eyed cats, and they have a very distinctive look. They almost look like a toy or a genetically engineered, like some kind of designer animal. They're really cool. The recorded evidence of them first in Thailand in 1350. They were first brought to the US in 1999, so most people don't even know about them yet. Down here in Mexico, they're hip to them. They're everywhere. You actually see them, and you see the sub-hybrids that have already started coming from Bengals and Caymanese mixes, which is really, Bengal cat's really popular here. Narcos love expensive animals, dude. Like, if you're gonna buy an animal and have it, and you got money to throw around, $1,000 is nothing, you know? So you see like a really high-end quality, high-end caliber of animals down here. Most of them, even if not everybody's not a narco, of course, but it just takes 1 or 2 to bring in, you know, some outside high-end genes, and then everybody else just ends up with them by osmosis, by proximity, and so the whole gene pool is enriched as a result, and it is beneficial, dude. If you're ever on the fence about an expensive animal, you're benefiting the gene pool, especially if you're into animal husbandry. That's what you want to do. Genes are everything. I'm sure all you weed growers can testify to that. So we started breeding the Caymanese, and they're really expensive. Go Google that. Go Google that right now. It says 16,000. You find them unneutered, and people that have them and stuff, $1,000 all day, a couple $1,000 on Craigslist all day. I had one out of this last litter. We got all snow leopards and Bengals, 2 Bengals, and they went quickly. I sold them. I got a good price, but everybody wants the Caymanese, and they're like coughing the money up, man, just making offers. Even on that one that I still have, people are still, a lot of high traffic area, like being right here on the boardwalk, and people stop all the time, like, dude, I'll give you $500 for that cat right now. Like, is that a male? Is that a female? That's a female, dude, I'll give you, you know what I mean? So I started with the male Caymanese, and I was like, all right, cool. That gene comes out when it breeds with a white cat. And so I had gotten the white cat because we were trying to make snow leopards. And so I figured, okay, I can use this male to try to make some Caymanese. Well, sure enough, there was one in the last litter, and she's a female. So now I have a female Caymanese. That's all it takes, man. That's it right there. And once you have that, you're having a 4 and 5 litter, 4 and 5 cat size litters. That is some significant money. People are, right now the really popular thing is Scottish Folds. That's the cat of the year, in my opinion, over this last year. They have a flat face, really round little heads, and their ears are folded in like this. So their head looks completely round. They almost look like an owl, especially because they don't have a snout. And that's like the popular thing right now. They're really nice. There's a little bit of that actually in the mama. That's what I'm saying about the gene pool. Like, that's out there too, because people around here only buy expensive ass animals. And so some of them had like a slight bend in the oversized ears, you could tell, but it just wasn't there all the way. But anyway, that's the one of the year. The Caymanese time is coming, man, and people spend $1,500, $1,200 all day long on Craigslist, okay? So you're gonna get that much for the KO Manis. If you don't believe me, go Google that and go see what they're selling for right now. They're asking way more than that. That's probably what people are actually getting in practical terms. So just, you got a 4 or 5 cat litter at $1,000 a piece. That's a significant amount of money. I can work with that. That's gonna buy me, you know, some new sneakers. That's gonna buy for the whole family. That's gonna buy a vehicle. And you know, that's what it takes. I need that extra push every now and then. So it took 2 years to get there. It's not easy. I mean, the white cat we started out with was a kitten. Took him a year to grow and mature into breeding age. Same thing with the mama. We got her. She showed up, and we got her about a year ago when we first moved here. Took her about a year. People say like, oh, you got to get them fixed right away, man. They're going to be breeding within 3 to 4 months. No, I've never seen it. It takes about a year, and then they go into full heat, and then they're just dry humping anyway. Does it help if I rip the glasses off for dramatic effect and dry humping anyway? You got to take the, yeah, they're dry humping anyway. No, so about after a year, we're really getting it in and making babies, and then, you know, you got to get a female, and bam, we got a female, so that's cool. And I don't want to do any inbreeding, so now I got to get a white male or almost all white male, which is pretty easy to come by. And that's the prospect for this coming year. This past year, that's something that we did do. And we also found out the legalities and the loopholes in international pet breeding and selling, which when it comes to cats and dogs, there are none. Awesome, right? You can bring any cat or any dog across the border either way freely without any papers. Although I've found Mexico is a little bit stricter than the US, not because they're gonna tell you no, but because you have something that they know there's an emotional attachment and you're bringing it in from outside, and there is potential there, not for a lot of money, but every average person with any emotional attachment is gonna give up a little bit of money if they have to. So there'll be a little bit of squeeze there. If you don't have it, you know, they're not gonna bust your balls. I wasn't even asked, actually. When we first came down, I had all my shit and the pets. I was told to take the pets out. They put my truck and all my shit through an x-ray machine, and they didn't say anything. I got back in with the pets and we went. I don't know. Walking one time, they said, well, you know, you're not supposed to bring any pets without papers. There's an importation fee, $10. No big deal, okay. You know what I mean? Now, there is a lot of dry runs, okay? I've learned about breeding cats. First of all, there's an emotional attachment there because you love them and you even name them. And, you know, and then you screen the people and you pick good homes, but ultimately you got to deliver them and let them go. And, you know, the mom looks for them. You're kind of like, oh, you know, like, you know, it takes an emotional toll. And then taking them away from the parents when they're used to an environment, right? We have these cats. Dude, that's a high stress situation. You take a kid and 2 or 3 cats, because I'll wait till I have the calls. Yeah, I got it. Okay, it's yours. Sold. Can you meet me on Wednesday, 9 o'clock over here? Yeah. And then somebody else will call. Well, when are you going to be here? Well, I could deliver it at 9 o'clock on Wednesday. And when I have 2 or 3, which, dude, it happened like that for Bengals and the KO Mani mix, right? Full KO Manis, man, that's going to be a blessing. So, well, let's just hope, because there's a lot involved, man, and it's a lot of work. But that's why if you're gonna do it, you know, you gotta do it with an expensive, high-end, quality cat, because it's a lot of work, dude, and a lot of money, and emotional attachment. And so we're in the car with a kid and 2 or 3 cats that have never been separated from the parent, and they're it just fucking adds to the stress. I get up to the borderline, and I'm just like, I don't even care, dude. If you're gonna take these cats away, get them the fuck away. I'm like at my nerves end, and the Border Patrol like, where are you going? We're going to sell these cats. I'm going to straight up sell these cats. I already sold them on the internet. I'm going to deliver them right now. They come from here. We grew them in Tijuana. Like, okay. all right, hey, have a good day. Here you go. And I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. And so I said, all right, I don't have to worry about that. That's another lesson I learned this last year, man, about worry. You know how much worrying I did? Right before then, it's like, okay, it worked. Now you got them. Now you got to sell them. Well, let's try to make a Craigslist page, okay? Take some good pictures. It worked. Now you got to deliver them. And I'm like worried, like how I'm going to do it. They're not going to let me. I got to sneak them. I'm like, I even talked to the vet. Well, I need this shot and this shot. And I figured if I have that paperwork, I'm more likely to increase my chances of success getting them across than not. And then I said, well, why don't you Google it? And then I see the law. Birds, no go. Livestock, definitely need proper documentation. Cats and dogs are one of the fucking few and only things, man, that you got the full green light on, dude. And Google said that, and so that took a little bit of worry off. But it didn't give me back any of the time I spent in the prior 2 weeks to that plotting, scheming, and worrying about something that didn't even fucking come true or wasn't even real. So that's an important lesson I learned. Worry for nothing. They were either going to say no or they were going to say yes. And either way, you have to let those cats go. You have to. At some point, when you find the you could screen the people, find the best family, at some point you have to give it up and let it go. And yeah, there's a tremendous freedom in that. And that's something else I learned this last year, is the tremendous freedom from things. Because I said, well, shit, man, if I could do this with the cats, I could probably do this with, you know, motorcycle, or, you know, or any of these objects that we covet and hang on to and worry about so much. And when you do that, there's a tremendous freedom. And that's something else that happened. So I fucking learned about precious metals a few years ago. And I've seen the cycle that throughout the year it tends to rise, and then around Christmas time people kind of pull back a little bit on the buying of precious metals, and therefore the price drops. So that's a great time to acquire. And I've also noticed that a pretty standard price is $10 to $15 an ounce. 10 is on the cheap side. I don't think we'll ever see that again. But 15, and now recently, I acquired a lot at $15 over the last 2 to 3 years, and right now the price is $20 an ounce. I'll wager to say, and so you know, because of financial reasons and stuff, I actually needed to exchange some of my bullion. I only buy 999 or 9999, minted by a government. That you will always be able to resell somewhere with no haggle. Whatever the spot price of silver or gold or platinum is, you're gonna get that within $2, okay? So it's like putting money in the bank, except I find that in the bank, when they charge you $12 a month, it's actually way more expensive to put your money in a bank than it is precious metals. The only thing is there's no protection or guarantees with the precious metals. The responsibility lies on you to protect that shit. So, you know, there's various ways. I mean, at some of the places where I buy and sell precious metals, they have secure vaulted lockers that are like $12 a month. Those are for people that have a pretty significant amount. You know, a little guy like me, I mean, you can rent something for under $10 a month, man. You know, I just need a drawer. I mean, a drawer of gold bullion is, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I don't have anywhere close to that. So, you know, it's not that hard. It works out to cheaper than a bank. And the best thing is that you just can't go to the store, your corner person, without really taking it in the ass, man. And you don't ever want to do that, because you end up like really loving this stuff and getting into it. And so well, first of all, that's another freedom, a burden, tremendously heavy burden to carry. And by, you know, being obedient, it was like the Lord told, like, I don't know what to do, man. I don't want to do anything bad or illegal. I'm up against a pinch. I didn't work that much, or I had this unexpected expense. Take some silver down, man. That's the point, right? To buy low and sell high, and it always returns back to base or lower than base around Christmas. And even if it doesn't, it's still, you know, $15 to $20. That's still fairly close. It always goes up. If you can hang on to it for at least a year or two, you're not gonna lose. And unlike the bank where you could just swipe that card, you actually take it to the refinery, you know, they look at it, grade it, give you your offer, make the payment, you know. It's not something you just go do every 5 minutes, so you tend to only do it when you really need it. And that's what it's for, right? That's what we have savings and nest eggs for. And it's secure. If the bank fucked up, if the electricity cut out, people are always going to need precious metals. People are always going to know this has value since the time of ancient Rome or Egypt, since the time of biblical days, and it's roundabouts the same. Like what you got for an ounce of gold or for an ounce of silver back then is pretty much the same now. Pretty much. You actually might get a little more now because we have more stuff now than they did back then. So as far as like a consistent form of measurement that just like Harley Davidson's, it actually goes up in value a little bit over time. You know, once you get the gist and you know what the prices are and what you're going for, yeah, it's a good thing, man. If you can keep it safe, it's a good deal. It's a lot cheaper than the banks. That's the only way you're going to straighten the banks out and make them act right. And that's by taking your shit somewhere else. Bitcoin and all that, that's cool too. I see people explaining it to me and I see it and I see them getting a return on it. But if the electricity cut out or governments pulled back or just like online gambling, man, that shit can shut off any day. They could just say, we don't want to do it anymore. It's hurting our central banking system. It's done. And just like online betting, dude, it's over. So, you know what I mean? I tend to trust something that they've been using since biblical days with roughly the same value, more or less, since biblical